Hello everyone, and welcome back to Lifelens TV. I'm Jennifer Harrison, and today we're diving deeper into a topic that not only impacts our health but also raises critical questions about transparency and governance in Kenya. In our previous episode, we explored the intricate web connecting major players like President William Ruto, his son, and influential business figures such as Adil Khawaja, who is at the helm of Safaricom. We uncovered how these connections could potentially affect the rollout of the Universal Health Coverage (UHC) program. If you missed it, I encourage you to check out episode 1 to grasp the foundation we've laid. Today's discussion is equally important, as we will uncover the layers of influence, investment, and potential conflicts of interest that come into play in this monumental healthcare initiative. As we dissect this story, you'll see how these connections could shape the future of healthcare in Kenya, particularly with the staggering 104.8 billion Kenya shillings investment at stake. Let's set the stage. September 21st marked a pivotal moment when Safaricom announced its partnership in developing an integrated healthcare information technology system. This isn't just a tech upgrade, it's a massive undertaking that aims to transform how healthcare is delivered across the nation. But the real question looms: who stands to gain the most from this initiative? At the centre of this development are two key figures, Adil Khawaja and Mwende Gatabaki. Both have established careers in their respective fields but share a striking connection through their ties to President Ruto and his administration. Khawaja, as the board chairperson of Safaricom, holds significant influence in this project. His long-standing friendship with President Ruto raises eyebrows regarding the potential for favouritism and conflict of interest. In contrast, Mwende Gatabaki, an accomplished IT professional, adds another layer to this narrative. She previously served in a high-ranking role at the Kenya Tea Development Agency and is married to David Ndi, an economic advisor to President Ruto. This dual connection to power further complicates their roles in the UHC program. How did two individuals, albeit skilled in their fields, find themselves at the forefront of such a crucial project? The collaboration between Safaricom and its partners, Convergence Network Solutions and Apero Limited, is designed to implement a healthcare system that could revolutionize accessibility. With a whopping budget of 104.8 billion Kenya shillings spread over a decade, the stakes are incredibly high. However, while the government promises affordable healthcare for all, we must scrutinise the underlying dynamics driving this initiative. Khawaja's role extends beyond his position at Safaricom. His firm, Dentons Hamilton Harrison Mathews, is deeply involved in providing legal services for the project, which raises potential ethical questions. He stated that their involvement is above board, insisting that the services rendered to the project do not present a conflict of interest. Yet, with his close ties to the president, can we be confident that the decision-making process remains unbiased? As we dig deeper, we also discover that Convergence Network Solutions underwent significant ownership changes, making it difficult to ascertain the true beneficial owners. The introduction of complex corporate structures often serves to obscure accountability. While Khawaja insists that his firm provided only preliminary advice, we cannot ignore the implications of having so many interconnected individuals and entities benefiting from the same project. Moreover, the involvement of Apero, a company based in the UAE, raises additional questions. Why is a foreign company taking such a significant stake in Kenya's healthcare infrastructure? The establishment of Apero Kenya Technologies Ltd to lead the assignment suggests that foreign interests are not only participating, but are also shaping our healthcare landscape. Gatabaki's involvement further complicates matters. As a director at Apero Kenya Technologies, her dual roles in the project may generate perceptions of impropriety, particularly given her family connections to high-ranking officials in the government. Her prior work with the Jubilee administration under former President Uhuru Kenyatta highlights a continuity of influence in Kenya's political and economic landscape. With all this in mind, the question remains, how transparent is this process? The public deserves to know whether these connections will lead to preferential treatment in securing contracts, or if they will benefit the Kenyan people as intended. The stakes are high, not only for the health of citizens, but for the integrity of governance in Kenya. As we wrap up this episode, it's clear that the intersection of technology, healthcare, and political influence presents a complex narrative that merits our attention. The UHC initiative is a critical step toward enhancing healthcare access, but it is essential to approach it with a critical eye. We must ensure that the voices of ordinary Kenyans are heard in this process and that the outcomes truly serve the public good, rather than lining the pockets of the well-connected. Before we conclude, there are some hard questions that need to be asked, questions that push us to think beyond the surface of these intricate connections. Is it really just a coincidence that we see such familiar names and faces involved in so many of Kenya's high-stakes projects? Let's start with President William Ruto's son, Nick Ruto. He works at Dentons Hamilton Harrison Mathews, the very same law firm that Adil Khawaja, the chair of Safaricom, is deeply involved in. On the surface, it may seem like just another corporate role, but when you start connecting the dots between Safaricom's monumental involvement in Kenya's healthcare project, Khawaja's close ties to President Ruto, and Nick's role in the firm, you begin to wonder if this is more than just business as usual. Could this be a sign of overconfidence, or does this web of relationships point to something deeper? Perhaps an unspoken understanding that these individuals and entities will dominate Kenya's most critical sectors for the foreseeable future. Consider this. We've seen Adil Khawaja's name pop up not only in Safaricom's healthcare venture, but also in high-profile legal services related to major infrastructural projects. And then, when we pivot to other national issues, the connections remain eerily consistent. Think about the blackouts that struck the nation recently, plunging the entire country into darkness. Shortly afterward, who shows up to express interest in fixing our ailing energy sector? None other than Adani, the Indian conglomerate. Now we might ask, why would Adani appear so conveniently at the very moment when Kenya is facing a crisis in energy? If we dig further, the threads seem to converge once again. Take the ongoing problems with the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, leaking roofs, maintenance issues, and other operational failures. It seems like every corner we turn, we find key infrastructure falling into disrepair, only for certain groups or individuals to swoop in with potential solutions. And speaking of Adani, why is it that every time there's a void, whether in energy, transport, or infrastructure, the same group steps forward, ready to make a deal? We can't overlook the timing of their interest in Kenya's ports, airports, and energy facilities. It's as if these crises are merely openings, paving the way for new, highly connected players to take charge. So, how does all this tie back to our central story on healthcare? It's the pattern of connections, names like Adil Khawaja, Nick Ruto, Mwende Gatabaki, that keeps showing up. From the controversial privatization talks involving JKIA to the shadowy hand of Adani in our power sector, we see the same people or their close associates involved in nearly every major deal in the country. Do you think it's coincidence? Or is it a well-crafted network of influence and opportunity, where those with the right connections have their hands in nearly every major pie? It's a hard question, one that demands scrutiny from all of us as citizens. The fact that Adil Khawaja's firm, Dentons Hamilton Harrison Mathews, is advising on this healthcare initiative while simultaneously having ties to so many other national issues raises concerns. Are we really witnessing a normal course of business here? Or is this a case where the same select few individuals are always in the right place, at the right time? When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the pieces start to fit together in a way that's hard to ignore. From the blackouts and the issues at JKIA to the 104.8 billion Kenya shillings healthcare investment, one thing becomes clear: these connections run deep. And while we can't conclusively say what's driving all of this, we can certainly ask whether coincidence alone could account for the same people showing up time and time again in Kenya's most lucrative ventures. We are left wondering whether there is a larger narrative at play, one where influence, power, and opportunity are reserved for a few. Are these individuals simply leveraging their expertise and networks, or are they benefiting from an unspoken system that perpetuates their dominance? These are the questions we'll need to keep asking as we continue to monitor these developments in Kenya's healthcare system and beyond. Thank you for joining me today as we explore these vital issues. Make sure to subscribe for more insightful discussions, and don't forget to watch episode 1 if you haven't already. Together, let's continue to hold those in power accountable. Until next time, this is Jennifer Harrison, signing off.